Welcome to Home Team Friday Countdown alongside the guru Colin Davies and the voice of Bossy Field, St. Claude Felter. I'm Michael Gross. Thanks for joining us this week. We've got a bunch of different games to get to this week. Some inclement weather, but now in week 6, we're starting to see the contenders pull away from the rest of the field.
And conference championships are really coming into focus.
And these conditions are going to create adversity. So the first real test of adversity before the postseason, we'll see how these teams handle it.
All right, let's take a look at the best games of the week in the Tri-State. Gibson Southern and Heritage Hills battling it out in Lincoln City. Castle and Wrights. Castle, a slow start to the season. They're now 4-1, and Wrights and even 5-0, and Apollo and Owensboro going at it in Owensboro. Let's start it off with Gibson Southern and Heritage Hills. These two teams are really just fiery competitors. Jet Goldsberry and company outscoring opponents 129-7 over the last 3 games. But hey, that Zach Foster and Nick Hart offense for Gibson Southern, they've been pretty good too.
Yeah, and they'll want some payback. These two teams do not like each other, and this rivalry has escalated since last year. The Titans will look to get back at the Patriots. Gibson has settled in with their new quarterback, Zach Foster, who took over for Tanner Boyd. He'll look to his main weapon, Maddox Potts on the outside, who's been a wrecking machine out wide. But we'll also have to look at that defense. Pass rushers like Cale Campbell will have to keep Jet Goldsberry in the pocket in order to eliminate a huge part of Heritage Hills' offense.
Colin, even with rain in the forecast Friday night, the atmosphere in Lincoln City should be incredible, with Heritage Hills returning home after a dominant 43-7 win over North Posey last week. That earned Todd Wilkerson his 100th victory as the Patriots head coach. In this rematch of last season's semi-state against the Titans, I expect the Patriots to run it quite a bit with Jet Goldsberry and a talented back in Hunter Meredith. So Heritage Hills defense might be the difference maker.
Yeah, they've got 2 heads on that defense now with Hunter Meredith back in uniform, and I don't know how you can stop Jet Goldsberry. But Wrights, Castle, our next game to get to. Castle, a little slower start this season, but Max McCool and that offense have been firing on all cylinders. Wrights, though, the question is, do they have a quarterback issue, or is it just a surplus of rushing and running backs?
Well, so far, Wrights has played 5 games this year and have double-digit victories in all of them to show for it. But Friday night will probably be their toughest test to date. In a lopsided win against Central last week, you saw just how explosive this Panthers team is. Running the ball with Wrights going for 375 yards and averaging nearly 9 yards per attempt. The defense was legit too, with 3 sacks and 3 turnovers forced on 2 interceptions and a fumble to show how balanced this team really is.
Well, I think Castle could surprise some people in this one. Wrights hasn't lost a regular season game in forever, and I think the Knights have what it takes to change that. The Newburgh squad was built on defense, but slowly the offense has come along with guys like running back Max McCool starting to break out. With the balanced attack, Bowden Morgan is now competent under center with a few games under his belt. I expect Castle to be right in this one the whole game.
Yeah, they could pull off an upset. And speaking of potential upsets, Apollo seems to have really grown into their own skin, right? Owensboro still a better team, I would say, from top to bottom. But, Colin, the question is, does Apollo have a chance this week?
I think they really do. I think this team has really grown under John Edge's system this year with veteran players that have made the next step. But also, they've got a sophomore quarterback in Maxwell Johnson who's been lethal, averaging over 26 points per game with this offense. And the Red Devils are having a aren't having a stellar year, so the Eagles may smell some blood in the water and want to put the city of Owensboro on notice. They're right there with OCAF and Owensboro. They've just got to go out and prove it. The offense should have production. The only question is whether Apollo's offense can step up against a quality opponent, which is something that hasn't happened too frequently.
And Owensboro has bounced back nicely from an 0-2 start by winning 2 out of the last 3 games, and the turnaround has been due in large part to more offensive production. The Red Devils handled Graves County last week with Trevor DeLacy throwing for nearly 250 yards and a couple touchdowns, while the rushing attack finished with 200, and Evan Hampton shined with 165 yards and 4 scores in the Red Devils' most balanced and complete offensive showing of the season.
Yeah, this might be one of those games to watch this week in our Home Team Friday. Game that we're featuring here, Fairfield against Carmi. Both teams can run the ball. Fairfield, the mule rushing power, has been backed by Logan Tillis and Israel Sargent. Israel Sargent, 119 yards per game. Logan Tillis, 89. On the other end, though, Carmi White County's Noah Pollard, a senior, up over 200 yards rushing per game and 2 touchdowns. That one will be a ground game for the ages. And after the conclusion of every game in the Tri-State, tune in tomorrow for another Home Team Friday at 10:35 on ABC 25. For Colin Davies and Zane Clodfelter, I'm Michael Gross. We'll be right back.